Sponsored by Midland. Communication for every adventure. The industry leader in radio communication technology and innovation for over 50 years.
Sponsored by MYMEDIC. First aid kits that will actually save your life, not just Band-Aids and gauze.
Always remember, the opinion you follow should be your own. Just consider the things stated here to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online.
As we said last week, we'll be getting into how to use Google Maps, GaiGPS, and ONx Offroad in your planning as well as along your journey. I spoke about adding waypoints, GPX files, and creating routes, but we never talked about how. So let's start with adding a waypoint and using coordinates to add a waypoint on each app. Then we'll import GPX files and create a route. There are many different apps, but I'll be focusing on the ones I primarily use, which are Google Maps, GaiGPS, and ONx Offroad. So let's get started.
So as you see here, this is my Google Map, and I have plenty of waypoints all over the place. They represent many different things. It could be a campsite, a hidden trail that's not on any maps. It could be a pizza joint. It could be the location for a big event that happens annually every year. It could be anything of significance that I want to notate on my map so that when I'm going across the country, I make sure to make note of it. So we're not looking, we don't want to look at waypoints that are already there. We want to create one. So let's pick a state and let's go with Chicago. So let's say we're in Chicago. And what is this here? This is a waypoint I already have. So let's say I'm in Chicago and I'm looking for sushi. And I don't care which one it is, I just want to make a waypoint. And the reason why I'm making a waypoint is because, so here we have the pho noodle place, right? And I'm going to, right next to it, make a waypoint. And you see how down below it opens up a little box, and I don't click on any of this. I click on the actual coordinates. And what happens is it converts that address into coordinates. And you have a choice of different coordinates. We're going to use the ones down here. And we're going to copy them. And while we're still here, this is how we make the waypoint for Google Maps. I can either save the coordinates and make it one of these things here. You know, I have different lists that I've created. I can make it one of these, or now that I've copied it, I can go back to the actual establishment's name, and I can, for Google Maps, I can save it, and now it's saved, and it's now one of the waypoints on my map. But I also, if you remember, I just copied and pasted the waypoint. So I can take it over to my GaiGPS map. I right click, I paste, confirm the coordinates, and it immediately creates a waypoint in GaiGPS. Now I can click on that, and it brings up a sidebar. So now I can edit this waypoint. I want to know what it is. It's food, so it's not a burger joint. So I want something representative of it. So usually for something like this, I'll use this. I'll use a fork and knife. So now it changes it to a fork and knife, and then I type in the name of the place. And if we have any notes, okay, and we added some notes. And at this point, we can decide to click public. And what'll happen is this waypoint goes on to Gaia's basic map that anybody, when they open it up, that waypoint will be there. Or maybe it's a secret spot that I've saved and I don't want you to know about this spot, or I just don't want to share. And you also have the option of map visibility or not, meaning will it show up on your map or not? So you can either go to your file and pull this up, or you can, like I always do, I always leave everything visible. So whenever I'm anywhere, everything pops up. So we're going to click save, and now it's a waypoint. And so we still have the coordinates copied and pasted. So we just go over to our ONx Offroad, and we practically do the same thing. We paste in the coordinates, and it takes us right to them. And now we go up here and click Add Waypoint. And just like over in GaiGPS, now we fill it in. And it gives you a lot of the same types of choices. Some are a little different. If this were a route or a trail, it would allow me to pick what type of vehicle that I'm using, and it'll let me know if the route that I'm taking, I'm legal to take it. But like I said, we're just gonna do that for right now. But there's a bunch of icons and you can pick one. So that was the first thing we said, is we're gonna save waypoints. We saved waypoints in Google Maps, GaiGPS, and ONx Offroad. Okay, now we want to move on to adding a GPX file. To me, adding a GPX file is even more important than adding the waypoint, because GPX files will contain waypoints, and oftentimes it will contain routes, which are what I'm really looking for, is routes on trails in places that I'm not familiar with. So let's start with adding a GPX. So where do we get a GPX file? Well, obviously someone can send you one. You can export them from different apps like Google Maps. But today we're going to make it real easy on you, because this is something I like to talk about, which is the Backcountry Discovery Route. This is their website. And I've told you about this before. They have put together tracks that traverse many states across the country. Here are some of them. I've taken the Washington Backcountry Discovery Route, the Idaho. I've done pretty much all of them. Some of them I haven't done the whole route, but I've at least touched down on some gravel along the route. Anyway, so let's go to routes. So let's go to the one I'm familiar with. So let's say you're looking for the Colorado Backcountry Discovery Route. And here you see it. Okay, but I want it on GaiGPS. I don't want to, this is fiddly. See how fiddly that is? I want this route on my Gaia GPS so I can manipulate it any way I want without worrying about a thing. So what I do is I scroll down and I go to download GPS tracks. And then it's going to ask you to fill this out. So bear with me a second. Okay, and if you see here, after you fill that out, you have the choice of what routes you want, and we want. So I could literally click on all of these at once and take them, but we're not going to do that. We're going to go just to the one that we wanted, which I forgot what we were looking for. I think it was Colorado. So for Colorado, I think I want to add New Mexico. And Arizona. And once we've filled it out and we've decided exactly what it is that we want, I want to add the Colorado connector too. Okay, so now we filled out exactly what we want. You read the disclaimers. You make sure to let them know you're not a robot. Agree to the disclaimers. Submit. And now I just simply click the download. So let's click the download. Let's just go with one for now. All right, and we're going to save it. So now we have our GPX waypoint. And what we're going to do is, let's start with Gaia GPS. So we're going to add to Gaia GPS right now. This is how you add a waypoint. So you hit the little download button right here. It says import data. You click on that, click select files. And then I click on the GPX file that I just saved, open. And then before it actually saves it, it lets you look at it and make sure that it's exactly what you wanted. And then you save it. And now I have that route on my map. Now, for ONx GPS, we're going to take that same thing and we're going to click on My Content, and then we click on Import. Select. You go to your GPX file. Same exact thing. Save my content. Okay, it didn't allow me to because I already have it saved. And not only do I have it saved, but there seems to be a limit on how much you can save. And I have trails all over the United States saved, so I've reached my limit. I don't know if that's going to change. And if you're a person like me who saves the complete United States, which is a large amount, that may be an issue for you. And that's why I'm still stuck with the Gaia GPS, and I favor it over ONx Offroad is because I haven't found any limits as to how much I can download, export, import, or whatever on Gaia GPS. Now, there are features on ONx Offroad that I like over Gaia GPS, but I can't walk away because of the limitations that I just described. Okay, so now we have created GPX files. We've created waypoints. Let's create routes. So let's start with GaiGPS. Alrighty, so let's see here. Let's go to Virginia. Why not? Now I'm going to change my layers so it's easier for me to see these roads. And I like the U.S. Forest Service map. And I also like to use the recreational sites map, because the recreational site map, what it'll do is sometimes it'll show you an interesting area to check out, but you didn't see any trails or routes to it. Okay, so we're in Virginia and we're looking for trails. I need to adjust this. There we go. And there's plenty of trails here. So this trail right here is a BDR trail. So let's work off of this trail and I want to create a route for me to exit off of this BDR route and take it and leave out and go to this campsite over here. So let's create that route. So what we do is we click on this wiggly line for create route, and we can choose the color of it. Well, let's make it purple. And if you have an idea of what you want to write, you write a name for it. The name of the camp is Steel Bridge Campground Route. Let's call it that. Okay, so let's start the trail. Okay, so first we'll make our first point right here where it connects to the BDR trail. And we start clicking on the route, and it should click into place. And let's see if it'll take me all the way over without. Sometimes it won't let you go that far and still make it made the calculation and it took me to camp. So let's make it a little more accurate. There we go. So sometimes it doesn't automatically snap into place, and you will have to do some work. So let's save this. And let's go back and say that it didn't snap into the route that you want. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to Edit. And see how it makes it live there? And then I'm going to go in. Because if I did go, I actually do prefer to make a different route. So see how it turns into a hand? You take it and make it into a hand. And I'm making a waypoint here, and hopefully that'll... Nope. Okay, so this is a good example of what I'm saying. So you see how it won't snap anymore? So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to manually make it go where we need it to go. And all we got to do is just keep grabbing it with the hand and making it go where we want it to go. I could have made it snap a lot quicker, but I just wanted to make sure that you actually get as much of an example of what to do. And so you get it. So let's just save that. So let's go over to ONx Offroad. Sorry guys, but I got some bad news about these guys. Well, at this time, they don't have any way to create a track. I reached out to them, and I'll just give you a portion of what they said. If you're looking to plan a trip before heading out into the field, we suggest using the line distance tool, as we are currently working on a route planning tool. So let's create a route in Google Maps. So our first waypoint is Fun Noodles. The way you have to create a route here is you can't actually do it manually. But what you can do is you can start with a waypoint. Here we're going to use Fun Noodle. And we're going to click on directions. And for directions, we're going to, let's say, make it Overland Expo East. How about that? And it will give you several different routes, different mileage, different times. And you have at that point the option of clicking on some of these other things like avoid highway, which is something I use a lot. And it increases your travel time extensively, but it usually takes you through the areas that you really want to go to, especially when you use the feature on a long distance journey. It'll take you through some beautiful places. So if you sometimes just want the computer to suggest for you, then do that. Now, let's take that off for a second to make this easier to explain to you. So here's the basic route that is suggested, right? Now, I could just go ahead and choose a route and mail it to myself or email it to myself, and it'll pop up on my phone or my tablet or wherever I'm using the Google app, and it will take me on the route that I chose. But we can do some manual work here too. So let's say I like this particular route, but I want to go through Louisville and make my way. So I simply just take that, and there you go. And I can manipulate the route like that as much as I want. However I want to go, I can make the route however I want. And it's not just like how I'm popping it onto major roads. I can, however I want to do it, any road that I can find, I can grab it and take it down that road.
All right, next week, we'll have part 2 on navigation apps. I'll go into using these apps in the field and how they can be used for more than following tracks or a route as you're navigating. Well, that wraps up another episode of the podcast. We'll see you next week. And I hope you like, I hope you share, I hope you subscribe. So with that, everyone stay safe. I want you to tread lightly. And hopefully I'll see you here or on the trail soon.
You have been listening to Waypoint Overland's Random Waypoints. Like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more. Sponsored by Midland, communication for every adventure. The industry leader in radio communication technology and innovation for over 50 years.